Good morning and welcome to this morning's webinar on staying healthy while working from home. I know we've got quite a few people registered that may be tuning in to this webinar afterwards, so you will be sent the recording as well. Hi, we've got Veronica on. Hi there, I'm Kasia. Feel free to, if you have any questions during this webinar, feel free to either type to me in the chat box or unmute yourself and feel free to ask any questions. And on that note, I am going to start sharing my screen and get into this morning's webinar. So, whoops. So I started teaching this topic pretty much when we all got used to working a lot more from home. Whether you work for yourself or for another organization, it's definitely been, a part of our lives, whether it's fully working from home or partly, which, the work from home office hybrid model, or I know a lot of organizations at the moment are alternating, between their workforce as well. So they're having separate teams, 1 week from home, 1 week on at the office and so on. And I read an article this morning as well about how, property developers and bigger companies are all adapting as well to the preference of more than, half of the workforce preferring flexible working model, and also, one where they can say, for instance, work from the office once a week and from home the rest. So it's interesting. And yeah, as I'm saying, whether you have your own business and you're a solopreneur or you're part of a bigger organization, I'm sure that it has impacted you or may still be impacting you in some way with this different model that we're all becoming used to. So thank you again for tuning in, and thank you as well to Business Station and the ASBAS Digital Solutions Program for making this webinar and all of the fantastic resources that we have for business owners available. If you aren't yet familiar with Business Station, they have an incredible $44 7-hour package where you get 3 one-on-one sessions and 4 hours of group training. And you can find out in the form of workshops and webinars such as these. And you can find out more on their website, which is businessstation.com.au. So I wanted to start today's presentation with, and welcome if you've just joined us. The mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. John Milton. My partner's got a psychology background, and he always reminds me that everything that we experience is pretty much 80% of it is to do with our own mind and our experience of it versus 70 to 80% versus 20 to 30% being the circumstances itself. So it's more, our experience and our reaction and our perception of it that makes it, our heaven or our hell, so to speak. So hopefully in today's webinar, I'll be able to share some insights on how we can get that balance and that equilibrium, of healthy mind, healthy heart. Wrong way. And what I'm going to mainly cover today is a collection of top tips and tools that I've put together over time to help with looking after your physical and emotional well-being while working from home. And I'm putting them into practice myself all the time and learning as I go. So just to introduce my background, I'm Kasia. I am a digital marketing advisor for Business Station. I've worked with them for over 2.5 years now. I also run my own business, which is called McNaught Media. It's a digital marketing and branding agency, and I've been running it for 5.5 years. My interest in health as well and well-being comes down to my own journey and experiences as well, because when I was 24, I had thyroid cancer, and I had a full thyroidectomy, so removal of the thyroid and radioactive iodine therapy. So yeah, at such a young age, that experience certainly brought to mind, you know, why health and well-being is so important, because without it, we don't really have anything else. And yeah, I'm going to share how I've integrated a healthy lifestyle into the way I live. But I'm a gym junkie. I love strength training at the gym. I've been this morning and done a weight session. So I do strength training 4 or 5 times a week. And I also have my daily step count, which I'm going to share with you, especially now that the weather's starting to get a bit cooler for us here in WA anyway. Looking forward to doing some hikes again. I'm also a beach lover in summer and all the time, really. And crazy cat lady. I help the Cat Haven WA on their board. And I'm an animal lover. And yeah, I have to say, one thing that I've definitely noticed is that having pets in the office can definitely help with stress as well. And it just makes everybody happy when, unless they're allergic, you know, when there's a cat or a dog or a, you know, furry friend to visit while you're working. So when I was reading different articles, of course, I'm not a, you know, psychologist or a medical professional, but I have, you know, as I was saying, a personal vested interest in learning about how to optimize health and well-being. But I did and enjoyed reading, you know, about research in the space. And when I was and have been reading articles since the pandemic started, one of the things that I found interesting was that psychologists find that one of the best strategies for managing emotions is actually to, you know, come up with a name for them and to allocate a name for what you're feeling. So these are a few of the terms that I thought are relevant and, you know, maybe relatable in terms of all of the changes that we've all experienced in different ways over the last couple of years, I suppose. And, you know, especially at the moment, I suppose, with what's happening around the world, you know, very sad about the war in Europe and Ukraine, floods in Brisbane, and yeah, really feeling for the people that are affected by that. Can't even imagine what they're going through. But one of the terms that came up, especially when all of this craziness with the pandemic started, was languishing. So this is defined pretty much as, you know, an official term for feeling meh. So it's sort of like that sense of stagnation and emptiness, and it's a feeling as though you're muddling through your days, looking at your life through a foggy windshield. So I came across this, you know, emotion, so to speak, in a New York Times article, and, you know, they were coining it as the dominant emotion of 2021. This is another term that I came across, and I'm starting with the, you know, negatives so that we can sort of turn them around and focus on the positives. But I don't speak German, I speak English, hopefully, and also Italian and a little bit of French and Afrikaans, because I grew up in South Africa. But I have a really good German friend, and I love how descriptive their language is. They seem to have terms and words for so many different intricate feelings and descriptive emotions. It's fascinating. But anyway, this is one that she brought up to me, my friend Mandy, Kopfkino. So it literally translates as head cinema. So, you know, it can kind of be like when you're trying to fall asleep and, you know, you are trying to maybe switch off your thoughts and emotions, but it's like you're just seeing things play out in front of you in your head, so to speak. So, you know, it's those mental images which imagine how events will unfold. It's kind of like, your imagination playing out a theater in front of you as if it's happening, where all your hopes and fears create dramatic narratives for us to spectate, whether we want to or not. So I found this relatable, especially, with the uncertainty and changes and different things going on can cause a lot of anxiety and, insecurity. This one as well, if you Google this term as well, coronasomnia. This is corona-infused insomnia. So with COVID-19 stress, the huge changes in routines and, when there was lockdowns or when there have been lockdowns, especially the decreased activity for many people, if they couldn't go to the gyms and so on, or if they're isolating, sleep experts have said that the coronavirus has caused a second pandemic of insomnia. And what fuels this is broken routines. It's really well known that one of the real things that helps with keeping mental health and well-being consistent is having a routine. And coronasomnia, so to speak, it's a series of vicious circles, because if you're out of your routine and you're going to bed later, but then you can't get to sleep and you're waking up through the night and perhaps then not functioning as well during the day and trying to catch up on rest, it's sort of like keeps building up, and then you might be stressing about not being able to sleep, and then that brings on a whole nother thing, which is sleep anxiety. So yeah, not ideal. So just a few more, of the more challenging aspects and emotions and so on that can come up from, working from home. So it works, and especially the feedback I've been getting from organizations that I've been involved with that, have their workforce split in half in different teams. Some people thrive working from home and are very productive, and others not so much. So it's also, a personal thing. But these are some of the challenges which may be relatable, which I think are especially, relevant to small business owners as well. So feeling, isolated. So as a small business owner, working remotely or on your own can definitely be isolating. If going out to meetings or networking events or coffees with clients and so on was your social time, and that's taken away, then that can be even more isolating. I know now that, we can work virtually as well in Teams, so to speak, literally like on Microsoft Teams or like we're doing now with Zoom, etc. But the thing is, it isn't the same. There is, something that I've come across as well called Zoom fatigue. It's like a different kind of energy exchange when you're online. So yeah, it can still feel isolating. The second one, difficulty staying motivated. So, this can be due to disruptions such as pets. You might have spied my three-legged Burmilla cat had escaped and was hopping across the room earlier, but they're mostly very good. Children, and of course, gotta love domestic duties. So I know that, I was previously, until the last couple of months or so, in a pretty much one-bedroom apartment, which was my home office. I have an assistant who works with me in person a few days a week, as well as some team remotely. But anyway, we were working from there. So not only was it my home office, we'd also have some meetings. It also, during our lockdown in WA, which I know was a lot shorter than the rest of Australia, and we were very lucky. But in any case, I had it, made into a home gym. I rented a cross trainer, and also, of course, my living space and so on. So I'm, in a bigger place now. But point being, if you're in a smaller space as well, and, it's also your office as well as your place where you're supposed to be able to switch off and have your family or, downtime, then that can be very difficult to separate. especially before when I had my computer screens were in the same space, as where my dining table and, couch and TV and whatever were. So it was kind of like there wasn't even a door for that separation. And I see it now, especially when I'm doing Zooms with, clients from around Australia, and they're working from home, and, a lot of them aren't too thrilled to have to sort of be working from their apartments, but some people may love it. It just depends on your setup. The other thing as well, which ties in with what I'm just sort of talking about now, is this, lack of work-life balance, which definitely leads to a greater risk of burnout. So, there's some other, studies that show that the commute time that we would normally have when, say, taking the train or bus or driving to and from an office, for instance, is important processing time for us to actually, process our thoughts and so on. So not having that makes a difference. And also, like what I'm talking about in terms of, the not being able to switch off, and, especially as great as our smartphones and devices are, I've gotten to the point of pretty much turning all of my notifications off, so that it's not, like a constant ping of dopamine or cortisol, stress hormone, every time something goes off, as though I need to be, like on call and checking it. So I like to have the technology so that I control it rather than it control me. So having those boundaries, which we'll sort of go over more, is definitely important. I know you can also put certain allocations of screen time or apps in terms of how much time you spend on certain apps on your phone as well. So depending on your, habits, that might be a useful thing. The other thing that, is a challenge, or can be a challenge with working from home, is, difficulty eating well and staying active. So, for instance, if you're just sitting at your desk from morning to night, working away, and you're not stopping for regular healthy meals, or, you're sitting all day, so you're not getting enough exercise, that can definitely be a challenge. On one hand, you can be organized with your food prep options and actually, make your food. But if you're sort of busy working, and you're not sort of having the ritual of going for lunch or stopping for lunch, that can also be tricky. I find that, it's really easy to just sit and work all day. I do go to the gym every morning, or 4 or 5 times a week, or for a walk on the other days. But, unless I actually go for regular walks throughout the day, little walks around the block or down to get a coffee, or, go for a walk at the end of the day in the evening, I find it hard to reach my step count, which I'll go into more. So I've covered quite a bit of the downside to working from home. And yeah, now I'm going to talk about, some healthy strategies for working from home, including, top tips and tools. So yeah, hopefully we can find some good solutions to some of those challenges. The other thing is, most of us wouldn't have had our workspaces, workstations, and so on at home actually equipped as, a full-time office, or, even a part-time office. So one thing that I think is really worth investing some time, energy, and potentially money into is making sure that you have your workspace set up as, healthily or ergonomically, I suppose, as possible. So I have been saying for ages that I need to get a sitting, standing desk. And one of the tips that my chiropractor shared with me is that if you look on Facebook Marketplace, you can get some pretty good quality secondhand ones, especially if, some people who've been working from home are now returning to the office, etc. Even just like this is a ergonomic mouse, it wasn't super expensive, but I've found it makes a difference, because I was getting, carpal tunnel syndrome, which is from, the nerves in your wrist, and it can be apparently Kim Kardashian got it from taking, thousands of selfies in a weekend. I definitely didn't do that, but it can be from, typing and gripping and, the even on phones or keyboards and computers and so on. I also have, like this is a posture medic from my chiropractor, so you can put it onto your shoulders, and it actually pulls back your shoulders while you're sitting at your desk. And I believe you can wear it for 20 to 30 minutes a day, five times a day, and it's supposed to really help with pulling back your shoulders. So that's another option, which I think you can get from your chiropractor, posture medic. So depending on your individual circumstances, that might be worth looking into. So here's some of the positives that I've researched as well. So the opposite of that term that we saw earlier of languishing is actually a lovely one, which is flourishing. So, the good news is that there are simple steps that you can take to recharge your emotional batteries and spark a sense of fulfillment, purpose, and happiness. And this is, due to a growing body of research which proves it. And the psychology community calls this lofty combination of physical, mental, and emotional fitness flourishing. So I'm also sharing some of the things that I like to do, which also, has a lot of research behind it, but you will probably find, that there are things that you may prefer, over other things as well. So it's also, what works best for you. So getting outside, so, scheduling regular time in nature. The research shows that it reduces anger, fear, and stress, and increases pleasant feelings. So as I'm saying, in terms of, I know some people love the mountains, you can find your happy place. For me, it's definitely near the ocean. I like to use the term, vitamin C. I always find it recharging and rejuvenating for the body and soul to get down to the beach, and especially when it's not winter, or even in winter, if I'm brave enough to just, get some of the salt water onto my skin and get into the water and walk on the sand barefoot. But, a lot of people took up a new hobby during COVID, and my new hobby was actually hiking. So this is like a photo of actually, this is me here, a bit blonder, with some friends, and we formed a little hiking group called the COVID Eagles because of COVID, of course. And then the first hiking trail I joined them on, there was an eagle as the sign that we had to follow. So this for me is a great way of spending time offline to recharge, your body and soul. I do take my, smart watch and phone with me to track my steps, and also for the trail maps if we're going off the grid. But again, I have my notifications turned off. So the other thing is, just some other benefits of exposure to nature, reduces blood pressure, heart rate, muscle tension, and the production of stress hormones. As much as I love going to the gym for the benefits of strength training and following my program, and I have a fantastic trainer that creates a program for me every month, it's also different. And, you can't really compare it to being outdoors and, getting some vitamin C and also vitamin D on your skin from the sun, breathing in some fresh air. And that was, that outdoor hour of exercise, I'm sure as well for a lot of people, was what kept me quite sane during a lockdown, going for walks in nature. So can't stress it enough, walking itself can be therapeutic and a great way of just getting ideas and thoughts and inspiration flowing. So, and yeah, even if you don't want to go hiking, you know, you can just go for lovely walks pretty much anywhere. There's so many great spots in WA. We're very lucky, and I'm sure if you're, you know, around Australia as well, yeah, we live in a very beautiful place. Oops, sorry about that. I just went back. So my big thing in terms of how I keep myself, you know, mentally and physically healthy is by staying active. So I usually start and end the working day with a walk, but I have them in between, as in I do go for walks throughout the day when I can as well. Like I was mentioning, you know, just to get a coffee or go for a walk around the block. But I either start my day by going to the gym and doing my workout there, or by going for a walk on the coast or around the lake near me, or at the very least just to get a coffee if I have to. You can tell I like coffee because I've mentioned coffee at least, I don't know, 8 times here. But another thing that's really great to do, you know, when possible, is schedule walking meetings rather than sitting down at a cafe. And yeah, the other week, last week, I think it was, I caught up with a good friend of mine. And, you know, we met along the coast, and instead of just sitting and having a coffee and chatting and catching up, we actually went for a walk on the beach and chatted. So, you know, think of how you can also make your social time more active. And you're both, you know, it's just therapeutic as well. You feel great. So the other thing that I do now religiously is I stick to a step count. So generally speaking, what's recommended as a daily average to go for is 10,000 steps a day for the average adult human. So this can also be averaged out over the week. So for example, the last couple of days, it was quite rainy and cold here, and I was feeling a little bit tired and lazy at the end of the day, so I didn't do my evening walks. So to make up for it today, later this afternoon, I'm going to go for a big coastal walk. Or, you know, if you start, and I also had a late board meeting the other night, so that was my excuse. But point being, you know, I use this app on my phone. If you have, you know, like Apple Health, you can just look at the step count on there. But I use an app called Pacer, just because I like how it, I'll stop sharing for a second. I like how it shows you your Pacer. It's a free app. You can do a paid version, but you don't need to. You can see I haven't done much at all today, 1686. But if I go to the insights, it will show me my average over the last 7 days is 8713. And then over the last 30 days is 10,223. So I look at that, you know, weekly average to make sure I get it to over 10K. So that is what I stick to as well, apart from my strength training. And the way that I find it easier to achieve, which my trainers also taught me, is to actually, like I sort of mentioned a couple of times, you don't have to, you know, just go for one massive walk at the end of the day if you've been working all day and you're really tired. But if you can, you know, break it up throughout the day and go for little walks in between, you know. So when I meet clients for a consult at the cafe near me, I will walk there and back just so I make sure I'm getting my steps. So yeah, and if you're super busy during the week, you know, you can also do more over the weekend, and then, you know, more coastal walks or whatever. That's going to help your weekly average. The reason I've got this dude here on the presentation is because his name is Dhiren Kartel. That's his Instagram handle at dhiren.kartel. And he of course, he hasn't actually invented the concept of non-exercise activity thermogenesis, but he's started a movement which is really clever called Neat Up 24/7. So it's pretty much all about encouraging people to increase their, you know, daily non-incidental activity levels by making small changes that we're talking about, such as, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, walking to the shop instead of driving. And he also was in lockdown in one of the hotels, I think it was in Sydney last year, and he was on BBC because he got an exercise bike, or I think it was, or a treadmill delivered to his room, but he took on this challenge of still doing his 10,000 steps a day while being locked up in a hotel room, and he still, succeeded. So I think as well, what's super important to note is that, people sometimes think that the way to, stay active or burn calories or, stay in shape is achieved, mainly through, say, for instance, going to the gym. But actually, when you go to the gym, it's more about, going into and actually working towards building strength and, getting stronger, because a lot of what happens with our metabolism actually comes down to, our basal metabolic rate, which happens at rest, which is why people still burn calories in comas and while you sleep. And that has to do with different things like your metabolism and also how much muscle you have and so on. But point being as well, like a big, and I don't remember the percentage, there's a chart that shows you this that you can Google online, but a big chunk, of where our calories are burned and expended actually comes from this, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So walking and achieving those 10,000 steps a day is really great exercise and great for health, whether or not you're, worried about calories or not, but just for overall health and well-being. Gym is actually a small portion of that. The rest comes down to, nutrition and, whether or not you're in a calorie deficit, but that's a whole other conversation. But so don't underestimate the benefits of staying active and, achieving those, 10,000 steps a day or more if you can. And if you're, using something like a Fitbit, I know they have like a Fitbit community that you can access through the app, and you can, see what people around the world are doing. And there's different apps you can use according to your preferred activity. If you are a cycler or a runner, Strava is quite popular for mapping and actually tracking your stats for your runs and your cycles and so on. And you can also have friends through there. So there's all different ways of having your community support you and feeling that sense of belonging while you stay active. And also, one other thing I was just going to mention about staying active is there's no point of trying to stay active by doing something that you hate. So, if you really don't enjoy the gym, for example, I do enjoy it. I enjoy it because I have a really good trainer that helps me in terms of giving me a program. It doesn't mean you have to have a trainer to enjoy the gym, but I think it's really helpful to have a program which you can, get through a trainer or through different apps and so on. But if you love running, do more running. But it just really depends. If you're a swimmer, I don't really like swimming in pools. So, point being, it's really about what you enjoy, because then you're more likely to actually commit to it and stick to it as well. And one other thing that can also really help is, having an accountability buddy. So, even if you have a friend who would like to go to regular yoga classes with you, for example, for me, it's like having that coach once a week who's checking in on my technique and training and so on, and sees everything I'm doing through the app. So it's a bit like, getting advisory, like what we do as advisors for Business Station, where we're giving you help and keeping you accountable in terms of achieving your goals. So I've already mentioned hiking, and as you know, I'm a fan of it. I haven't done it as much, to be honest, this last 12 months. I did break my foot last year, which was unfortunate. So I did have a bit of a training break, but I'm strong on my feet again now. So I'm going to get back into this more. But, just for example, why hiking is great. It boosts your fitness, it improves mental well-being, and it also enables us to stay social with friends. It's a great way to unplug from daily life, explore nature trails in WA, and appreciate the little things. I use an app called All Trails, like as in ALL Trails. And, even when I'm away, like, where was I? I was in Nanup just when it was New Year's. And through this app, I've got a paid membership because I actually download the maps and the trails. But it's a really great little app because it actually shows you, top trails nearby and the distances and people's photos and reviews and how difficult they are. So, like I was like, oh, let's go to my partner, let's go for a hike. And I found some great little trails on here, which I wouldn't have even known existed, plus also downloaded the app, which was helpful because, downloaded the map, which means when I didn't have Wi-Fi, we didn't get lost in the middle of nowhere, because sometimes, even though you're on a trail, it's pretty much like in the forest, and there's not much signage. So there's also hiking groups around. So, you can join one, or I started my own, but if you just have a search on Google or even Instagram, I think there's one in WA that's called the Hike Collective as well. I've never been to an organized one because I just prefer to do my own with my friends, but definitely recommend it. So another big thing in terms of health and everything and staying optimal is eating a healthy diet. So, making sure you're eating a balanced, healthy and nutritious diet to keep yourself in peak condition. So you always want to go for the rainbow on your plate. The fancy word for having the different colors of fruit and veggies and so on is polyphenols. It just gives you such a variety of micronutrients that, keep you really healthy and boost your immune system. There's been actually, I was reading something else this morning. There's been a surge in the health and well-being industry as well, especially since COVID, because, I think it hasn't even been promoted as much, but the fact that by having a healthy immune system, by, being in good health, by not being obese and so on, by looking after yourself, you have much better chances of course, recovering from COVID, of course. So a few other things, staying hydrated. So approximately, 2 liters of filtered water a day, depending on your, body weight and so on. Limiting caffeine and sugar intake. So I love my coffees, as you've heard me confess. But, I find that my limit's usually 3 or 4 a day max. And the thing is, if you're time poor and you don't enjoy cooking, you really can consider a healthy meal delivery option. One that I like in WA is called Hail the Kale, but there's different ones around. If you really just need to get some convenient meals that you can chuck in your freezer, My Muscle Chef is another option that I've gone for when I'm really busy. I have gotten a lot more into cooking and meal prep, to be honest, especially the last few months when I've been, on a training and nutrition plan. So what I find really helpful is I have an air fryer, and I can't recommend them enough. Like, I literally can make anything in there, almost veggies, protein, meat, whatever, tofu, and you often don't even need to add oil, and it just, salmon, fish comes out just, so delicious and moist. So I have one of those. I also have a rice cooker, which just, I was always the convenience girl when it came to food. Like, I would have microwave sachet rice, but like, it's amazing how much easier, or not easier, both are easy, but when you use a rice cooker, it literally does it in bulk for you and saves you money, and also does it all, by pressing a button. So the main thing really as well is, avoiding highly processed foods. So if you can, have fruit and veggies, make sure you're getting enough fiber. If you are eating meat or fish, make sure it's good quality source of protein. I've also been growing my own veggies as well. That's a recent thing I've been doing. So fresh herbs and veggies, and just, even adding fresh herbs just gives you a whole range of micronutrients. So it doesn't have to be complicated, but yeah, just eating a healthy diet, making sure you're getting enough protein as well. That's also going to help you, keep fuller for longer. So, maintaining a daily routine is really, I sort of briefly mentioned it at the start, is a really key fundamental of having good mental health for a lot of people. So, for instance, sticking to set working hours. So look, I know it's easier said than done, especially when it comes to running your own business where you're pretty much doing everything yourself. But don't forget to schedule regular breaks and downtime. So, one thing that I really think is a great thing to do is having these little micro breaks. So, even if you're going away for a weekend or 2 or 3 days, just to get away, break your routine, bit of a pattern breaker, just change of scenery, just stop and smell the roses, so to speak, limiting screen time. So yeah, like I mentioned about, the limits that you can have on these, or, having notifications turned off for apps for me has been a game changer, because otherwise it's just like, never stops. But even if you are working for yourself, as much as possible, have your clear boundaries with your office hours. So also with this limiting of screen time, it's really not ideal to be on your phone straight before you go to bed. So if you can at least have 1 to 2 hours before bed of, not being on your laptop or phone, that would be great. And, it's that blue light that keeps us more awake and has been shown to make us feel more alert. So it's when you're like wired but tired, which comes from devices. I've also got my phone in dark mode, and I've got a screen shader on my laptop. You can get like a screen shader extension for Chrome, just to keep it like off that really aggressive blue light all the time. And then, yeah, in terms of your routine, for me, it's starting each day with exercise, gym, or a walk, but your pattern may be different. You may like to do meditation in the morning, do exercise in the afternoon. It just depends. So, yeah, bedtime hygiene is another whole thing in itself. So if you can, create a relaxing wind down routine. This could include a non-caffeinated herbal tea before bed. I'm not personally much of a tea drinker, but yeah, if you enjoy tea, why not? Yeah, we've just mentioned about, getting off your devices and screens at least an hour before bed and staying away from that blue light. You can actually get blue light glasses. I don't remember I'm sure there's different brands. I think you can even get them, your lenses infused in your optical glasses. If possible, you don't want to sleep with your phone next to your bed, but I know a lot of us do. If you do, then, it's good to also have it on airplane mode. You could also consider, investing in a good fashioned old alarm clock. I got one of these, but then it literally looks like that from IKEA, but I forgot how freaking loud they are when they go off. So yeah, maybe test out the volume first. And the other thing that's great to do is, if you can aim to go to sleep and wake up at the same time each day, so that your body maintains that consistent circadian rhythm as much as possible, that's also, a very healthy thing to practice. So in terms of setting your workspace at home up for success, we mentioned this briefly too, but, you know, create a separate working space if possible. So that's what I've done in my new place. I've got the office area here. It is also where I have my main dining area, but that's okay. I have another office where my partner works, but if you can at least have, you know, your separate working space if possible, you know, look to invest in a standing desk is a good idea. And yeah, as I was mentioning before, you know, just assess your workspace and how you can make small improvements. So it doesn't have to be, you know, massive overhauls, but even things like buying an ergonomic mouse can really help. And, you know, as humans, we don't spend enough time stretching or enough time on the floor, so to speak. So make sure you stop and stretch regularly. You know, a foam roller is also a great thing to have by your desk. And I mentioned as well the posture medic, which I showed you, which you can wear, you know, throughout the working day, which brings your shoulders back. Worth getting one of these. As I mentioned, I got it from my chiropractor. They made sure I had the right size. And then this is a huge thing. So practicing for me, and more prevalent in the world, my partner actually, you know, specializes in mindfulness-based well-being research. So fortunate that I get to hear about it from him a lot. But thousands of studies have shown mindfulness meditation can result in benefits, you know, such as gaining a new perspective on stressful situations, building skills to manage your stress, increasing self-awareness, focusing on the present, reducing negative emotions, increasing imagination and creativity, and also patience and tolerance. And also just, you know, just giving you that sense of space in between your thoughts that becomes more and more prominent as you practice more. So there are quite a few different apps that you can use to get started. I personally like this app, which is the Waking Up app by Sam Harris. So that's what it looks like there. The thing that I like about it too is that it actually shows you how many people are actually meditating at the time when you log onto the app and you're going to do your daily practice. And if you're new to meditation as well, you know, you can start with 10 minutes a day, 5-10 minutes a day, and build up from there. But this app has so much more to it. You know, it's a guide to understanding the mind for the purpose of living a more balanced and fulfilling life. And Sam Harris is a neuroscientist, philosopher, and New York Times bestselling author, and he explores the practice of meditation and examines the theory behind it. Another one that I've tried recently is by John Kabat-Zinn. It's a really long name, John Kabat-Zinn. But you know, there's many options. There's one called Headspace. There's another one that's Australian called Smiling Mind. So yeah, you could always try one of these and do a trial, you know, and see which one you like best. So yeah, couldn't recommend it more highly. There's so much scientific research and evidence behind the fact that meditation and mindfulness is, you know, hugely important. And it's like pretty much, you know, we work on so many other areas of ourselves, like as I've been talking about today, you know, how I love doing strength training at the gym, or we focus on improving our careers and our relationships and so on. But, you know, if we don't have a practice where it's like a gym for our mind, so to speak, you know, our mind is what controls the majority of our, you know, of the quality of our experience and our lives. So super important. And this is one of Sam Harris's quotes. So the past is a memory. It is a thought arising in the present. The future is merely anticipated. It is another thought arising now. what we truly have is this moment, and we spend most of our lives forgetting the truth. So I just find, this is a great reminder about how, everything that we imagine about the past and the future can really rob us of our experience of the now. So for me, meditation is like an anchor that really brings, back the sense of empty, clear space. And just really would love to recommend that you bring that into your, daily lives if you haven't done that before. This is another great program that I also just wanted to mention. It's an incentive from Beyond Blue, and it's called New Access, and it's free and confidential mental health support for small business owners. So it uses something called low intensity cognitive based therapy, which helps us, recognize the way we think, act, and feel. You'll be assigned a coach to help you tackle unhelpful thoughts and behaviors, and, work on an individual plan that you develop together. So this is something that, could be really, really helpful. And one of the requirements, I believe, is that you're not in an ongoing mental health care plan already. You're not getting treatment already, but the link is there. And I know that, Business Station are also running. So the area of this webinar that we're covering today, even though it's mainly, digital solutions program, is resilience and well-being. So I know that there's, various great webinars and topics that Business Station, some of the other advisors are running as well, to do with, mental health and well-being, avoiding burnout, and so on. So you can also go onto the businessstation.com.au website and just browse under the events and see what's coming up there. I love this book. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Bear. Sorry, I messed up the order of the animals. The boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse. There's no bear. Anyway, but this is the social media handle on Instagram of the author. And these are a couple of quotes from the book. So during COVID, this book's very much, it's kind of like I'd say like a modern day cross between, The Little Prince and Winnie the Pooh. And it's just really, it's a really beautiful story. It's about resilience and hope, kindness, love, and you can see it's beautifully illustrated by the author. So it's got beautiful illustrations and quotes. And I think I've at least gifted this to, 5 to 10 people. In fact, I don't even currently have a copy of it, because every time I've purchased a copy, I've just had to give it to somebody. But the author was leaving copies of this book around he's in the UK, I believe, and he was leaving copies of this book just, like in phone booths or on benches and so on, or bus stops, just because people needed the messages that are in here so much, and still do, and probably, always will. So I love having books around like, this, especially ones that I can pick up and, refer to and read pages of, as I feel. So this is another one that I have listened to on Audible a while ago, Mark Manson. So pretty much, if you haven't read this one, it's, all about really allocating your energy and, focus and caring about things that matter more than those that don't, really, in a simple view. But it's just a really great read or listen. And if you haven't used Audible before to listen to audiobooks, I'm pretty sure if you sign up, you get your first book or audiobook free. And then you can still, if you don't want to keep using it, you can still cancel the free trial. So yeah, if you're trying to also stay more active and do, you know, different walks, etc., or move more, one of the things that I find enjoyable is listening to audiobooks or podcasts. So there you go. That's something that you can do to keep you motivated and entertained while you get your step count up. And I also put this 10 commandments for reducing stress on here because it's just got some really great reminders, you know, especially for small business owners. We can often be our own worst enemies if we're so hard on ourselves because we're trying to do everything, you know, right. So the first one, you know, thou shalt not be perfect or try to be, and not try to be all things to all people. You know, the third one about, you know, leave things undone that ought to be done. You know, especially as business owners, we're often, you know, working late trying to finish off, you know, the accounts or this or that. So, you know, there's always going to be things that need to be done, especially when you're running a business. So it's okay to sometimes leave them undone. You know, don't spread yourself too thin. Learning how to say no, that comes down to, you know, having those strong boundaries, you know, and scheduling time for yourself and your support network. You know, this is something that I get reminded of, you know, regularly when I have a good chat and catch up with a friend I haven't seen in a while. You know, it's so important. And for us as humans, that connection for our mental health. And, you know, number 7, switching off and doing nothing regularly. So something that I've had to learn to not feel guilty about, as in number 9. So yeah, but number 8 as well, you know, it's about not being perfect. And number 10, you know, not being your own worst enemy, but actually your own best friend. So I actually had that printed off on my wall because I think it's a great reminder. So yeah, that's actually a photo there that I took of, as you can see, it's Cottesloe Beach. If you are familiar, if you're from WA, I remember I went down for a walk after work and I was just like stuck in my head, and then I kind of had to force myself to go out, but just felt so much better after, you know, getting myself out and out of my head and getting some of that, you know, vitamin C and fresh air. So yeah, definitely encourage you to do that as well. And thanks very much. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And yeah, this recording is going to be also sent to everybody. I know there was a few people who registered but couldn't make it while it's on now. So yeah, only have a couple of minutes left, but if any of you guys that are on now have any questions, please feel free to, yeah, unmute yourself or ask in the chat. And yeah, I hope you found it helpful and got something out of it today. You know, I am myself constant work in progress, and I'm learning, you know, all the time. And every time I do this topic or talk about it, it's a good reminder to myself as well. So yeah, thanks very much. Any questions? Are we all good? All right. Well, yeah, thank you again. And thank you to Business Station as well, who've made this presentation possible. And I did mention briefly at the beginning that there is a, you know, currently an amazing 7-hour package of support you can access for $44, including 3 one-on-one sessions with an advisor, such as myself, depending on what you need. My areas of expertise are usually, you know, social media, digital marketing. Today I was talking about a slightly different topic, which I'm passionate about. And you also get, you know, 4 hours of workshops, webinars, like you've tuned into today. So all of the details are here on businessstation.com.au. And yeah, if you have any feedback or requests for any topics or anything, my contact details are here. Love to hear from you. So thank you very much. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Okay, thanks very much. Bye, everyone.